What if a single summer transfer could shift the balance of power in English football for not just a season or two, but for an entire generation? Imagine a move so audacious, so game-changing, that it sparks a domino effect across Europe, upends Liverpool's future, shakes the foundations at Newcastle United, and rewrites the rules for how Premier League champions are built. This is not your everyday rumor mill. This is the Alexander Isak saga, the high-stakes pursuit that stands at the intersection of ambition, strategy, and the fierce economics ruling the planet's most-watched league. Let's rewind for a moment to fully grasp what's at stake. The 2024 season was nothing short of a renaissance for Liverpool. Under their innovative new manager, Arne Slot, the Reds reclaimed the Premier League crown, restoring the glory days that fans had longed for since the iconic Jurgen Klopp era. The Kop was roaring again, with banners waving from Merseyside to Madrid. But beneath this tidal wave of celebration, a new anxiety began to quietly take root. The consensus was clear. If Liverpool wanted to stay at the summit of English football and challenge the best in Europe, they needed a proven striker, someone with the pedigree, consistency, and X-factor to make the difference in tight games. Enter Alexander Isak. For years his name was whispered among scouts and analysts, but the 2024 to 2025 season propelled him into the global spotlight. The Swedish international scored an astonishing 23 Premier League goals, trailing only the seemingly unstoppable Erling Haaland. But it was not just the volume of Isak's goals that caught the eye, it was their timing and impact. Over and over he delivered in clutch moments, rescuing points and swinging matches for Newcastle United when it mattered most. His technical skill, composure, and off-the-ball intelligence drew universal acclaim. Gary Neville, former England defender and now one of football's sharpest pundits, put it bluntly, Alexander Isak is the best striker at this moment. That sort of praise from a veteran who has faced the world's top attackers is significant. Liverpool legend Emile Heskey went even further, describing Isak as the perfect number 9 for Liverpool. These are not empty words. Endorsements like these can sway boardroom decisions and shape the transfer strategies of elite clubs. Meanwhile, Newcastle United, revitalized under ambitious ownership and flush with Champions League qualification, have no intention of reverting to their old role as a selling club. Isak's stock has soared. According to advanced analytics, he scored 23 goals against an expected goals tally of just over 20. A clear sign that he is not just finishing chances, but creating his own magic. The respected CIES Football Observatory values him somewhere between £72 million and £92 million sterling. Yet, Newcastle's leadership, emboldened by their Champions League windfall and commercial growth, are holding out for at least £100 million. Some reports even suggest a jaw-dropping £150 million as their asking price. To put this in perspective, £150 million would not merely break the British transfer record, it would obliterate it. Liverpool's own record-breaking move for Florian Wirtz would suddenly seem modest by comparison. This is not simply a footballing decision, it is a high-stakes business gamble, one with the potential to reverberate through the sport for years. Liverpool's board, renowned for its data-driven approach and willingness to invest boldly, is said to be preparing a monumental offer, one that could include performance-based add-ons, generous bonuses, and possibly even player swaps to tip the scales. But here's where the chess match intensifies. The era of financial fair play, FFP, has transformed the transfer market. UEFA's regulatory framework, designed to enforce sustainability and prevent reckless overspending, casts a long shadow. As financial analyst Sam Wallace puts it, financial fair play is about sustainability, not just spending power. In the modern game, clubs cannot simply outspend their rivals. Every transaction is scrutinized, every number logged. Newcastle, despite their newfound wealth, must tread carefully, especially with UEFA's profitability and sustainability rules tightening each year. Their Champions League qualification guarantees a minimum payday of at least £15 million, but the costs of squad building, stadium upgrades, and ballooning wage bills mean that financial discipline is more important than ever. This brings us to the heart of the saga. Liverpool's expected offer, likely to exceed £100 million, could put Newcastle in a bind. Rejecting such a colossal sum would send a clear message that the Magpies are no longer a stepping-stone club. Accepting it, however, could provide the resources needed to reinforce multiple areas, strengthen their financial position, and ensure FFP compliance. As one club insider noted, if the bid is truly extraordinary, even the most ambitious clubs must listen. Liverpool, for their part, are not betting everything on one target. Their shortlist includes Hugo Ekitike, the French striker known for his agility and flair, João Pedro, a Brazilian forward with a penchant for the spectacular, and Benjamin Sesko, the Slovenian prodigy already drawing comparisons to Erling Haaland for his physical prowess and lethal finishing. Yet none of these alternatives can match Isak's proven Premier League record, statistical overperformance, or the intangible spark he brings to the table. For Liverpool, the message is clear. It's Isak or bust, a move that could define the next era at Anfield. Let's look at the possible futures that this transfer saga could unleash. There are three primary scenarios, each with far-reaching consequences for the clubs involved, the league, and the broader world of football economics. Scenario 1. Liverpool secures Alexander Isak. The impact would be immediate and profound. With Isak as the focal point, flanked by the creative genius of Florian Wirtz and the explosive runs of Jeremy Frimpong, Liverpool would instantly become favorites not just for the Premier League, but for Champions League glory. Imagine a front three blending Isak's clinical finishing, Wirtz's vision, and Frimpong's relentless pace, a nightmare for defenders across Europe. For Arne Slot, it would be the ideal foundation to implement his high-pressing, possession-based philosophy. Expectations would soar, fans would demand silverware, pundits would forecast dominance, and global sponsors would flock to Anfield. Yet this path is fraught with risk. Committing over £100 million, potentially as much as £150 million, on a single player brings unprecedented scrutiny. If Isak adapts seamlessly and stays fit, the investment could pay off spectacularly, echoing the transformative signings of the past like Luis Suarez or Fernando Torres. But if he falters under the Anfield lights, or injuries strike, it could become a cautionary tale, reminiscent of Philippe Coutinho's ill-fated move to Barcelona or Jack Grealish's mixed fortunes at Manchester City. The margin for error is razor-thin, and the pressure on both player and club would be immense. Scenario 2. Newcastle holds firm and keeps Isak. This would mark a seismic shift in the club's identity. No longer would Newcastle be seen as a feeder club for the established giants. With Champions League football returning to St. James Park and a surging global fan base, Isak could become the face of their new era, an emblem of ambition and staying power. As transfer expert David Ornstein noted, if Newcastle reach the Champions League, Isak is going nowhere. However, this option comes with its own set of risks. To comply with FFP, Newcastle might be forced to sell other valuable players or forego essential reinforcements in key positions. There's also the question of keeping Isak motivated and content, especially with Liverpool's overtures and the lure of higher wages and bigger trophies. Football history is filled with examples of clubs that struggled to hang on to their stars in the face of irresistible offers. Think of Gareth Bale's world record move from Tottenham to Real Madrid, or Luis Suarez's departure from Liverpool. For Newcastle, success would require not just deep pockets, but also strategic vision, squad depth, and exceptional player management. Scenario 3. Liverpool's pursuit fails and they turn to alternative targets. While Hugo Ekitike, João Pedro, and Benjamin Sesko are all promising, none have been truly tested in the relentless cauldron of the Premier League at Isak's level. This approach would be a gamble, risking another season with a misfiring front line, a scenario that could cost Liverpool dearly in tight title races or deep Champions League campaigns. The difference between winning and finishing second often comes down to a single goal or moment of brilliance, the kind of impact Isak has shown he can deliver. But let's zoom out and consider what this transfer saga reveals about the current state of elite football, and why it matters to anyone interested in global business or high-level negotiation. Modern football clubs are no longer just sporting institutions. They are multi-billion-pound enterprises balancing the dreams of fans with the cold, hard realities of balance sheets, regulations, and global branding battles. The Alexander Isak drama is a masterclass in negotiation, risk management, and strategic planning. Liverpool's approach, ambitious, data-driven, and unafraid of breaking records, heralds a new era where clubs use advanced analytics, global scouting, and sophisticated financial modeling to gain a competitive edge. Newcastle, meanwhile, symbolized the rise of the new Premier League challengers, clubs with visionary owners, expanding commercial reach, and a hunger to disrupt the old order. The stakes have never been higher. On-field success drives exponential growth off the pitch, from soaring merchandise sales and broadcast revenues to lucrative sponsorship deals and expanding fan communities worldwide. One transformative signing can shift a club's fortunes for years, even decades. But this is where caution must temper ambition. The football landscape is littered with examples of clubs that overreached and paid the price. Chelsea, for instance, faced transfer bans and heavy fines for breaching FIFA's transfer rules, a stark reminder that unchecked ambition can backfire. Manchester City, too, have spent years navigating legal battles over alleged financial fair play breaches, despite their on-field success. The lesson is clear. In today's hyper-competitive environment, dreaming big is not enough. You must also plan smart, adapt quickly, and execute with precision. There are also lessons here for anyone outside the world of sport. Whether you are negotiating a business deal, managing a team, or launching a new venture, the principles are universal. Know your strengths and weaknesses. Understand the rules of the game. Be prepared to invest boldly, but always assess the risks and plan for contingencies. Remember that sometimes the greatest opportunities are disguised as the toughest dilemmas. As the summer transfer window heats up, the eyes of the footballing world are fixed on Anfield and St. James Park. Will Liverpool's ambition and financial firepower be enough to lure Alexander Isak to Merseyside? Or will Newcastle's resolve, Champions League riches, and long-term vision persuade their talisman to stay and lead their European charge? The answer will depend on more than just the size of the check. It will hinge on the subtle interplay of negotiation, strategy, and timing. This is not a sprint. It is a chess match, where each move is scrutinized by millions. If Liverpool goes all in, shattering the British transfer record with an offer that could exceed £150 million, it could trigger a seismic shift across the Premier League and the European football landscape. Yet, Newcastle's new status as a Champions League club, combined with their financial prudence and growing appeal, makes them formidable negotiators. As financial analyst Sam Wallace reminds us, financial fair play is about sustainability, not just spending power. In other words, success is not simply about who spends the most, but about who builds a resilient, enduring model, balancing aspiration with responsibility. Even the most storied clubs are not immune to the risks of overreach. The football world is filled with cautionary tales of those who gambled big and fell short when results did not follow. Yet, without boldness, there is no glory. Liverpool and Newcastle now stand at a crossroads, their next moves watched and debated by millions around the globe. So, will Alexander Isak dazzle the cop with his graceful footwork and ice-cold finishing, or will he remain the spearhead of Newcastle's Champions League campaign, challenging the established order with every goal? This summer will bring the answer, but its consequences will echo for years to come. For the latest updates, behind-the-scenes scoops, and expert analysis on every twist in this extraordinary transfer story, make sure you subscribe, like, and share, and let us know in the comments. Where do you think Alexander Isak will play next season? Anfield, St. James Park, or could the football gods have an even more surprising twist in store? Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more insights into the global business of football. Because at the end of the day, the beautiful game is about far more than just 90 minutes. It's a living, breathing reflection of